Triple H is already bringing back his boys. Last time seen wearing a strap-on, Karrion Kross made his debut on SmackDown, and this time with Scarlett. And the time for Roman Reigns is ticking. After a great episode of Raw, the question was, can SmackDown be the same? And while I honestly enjoyed the show, I don't think it was as good. To be fair, SmackDown's roster is tiny and the damage's been done. It will take a lot more time to fix this show, but changes are being made. A lot of focus on women's division, making the Intercontinental Championship feel important. We're getting a match next week, and Daddy H spoiled us with a surprise.
I don't know the question. I actually like Karrion Kross with a helmet. He looked kinda sexy.
Now, I personally don't know a lot about Karrion Kross. I didn't watch NXT at the time, but I dig the presentation and I have high hopes. And dude, if it wasn't for AEW, we would get a lot of surprises right now. The show kicks off with the Bloodline arriving to SmackDown. Paul Heyman is nowhere to be seen, not even on his shirt. Then we see Pat McAfee poking fun at Baron Corbin for losing against him and showed him where he smacked him. He drew, yeah, these are some tiny testicles, I gotta say. We see all the WWE main eventers laughing. Ricochet says, karma is a beautiful thing, don't you think? What about I wipe that smile off your face? I'd like to see you try. How about we kick off SmackDown? Then Pat McAfee keeps calling him a loser and draws on his face. So the show kicks off with Happy Corbin versus Ricochet. Not necessarily something I expected, not necessarily a match I think is something that the fans kept waiting for. So this is pretty random, but it goes to show you how small the SmackDown roster really is. It's funny because the match was kinda entertaining, but it still was the lowest point of the show and probably not the best way to kick off the new era of SmackDown in my opinion. So Happy Corbin got distracted by Pat McAfee, Ricochet grabs his leg, and Baron Corbin hurt his tiny little squeezy tiny little balls. Codebreaker, shooting star press, and Ricochet takes the W. Baron Corbin keeps on losing. So this was not the best way to kick off SmackDown in my opinion, considering it needed to open with a bang. It's a new era. Was it something I absolutely hated? Not really, so I'm okay with it. Sami Zayn wants to meet Roman Reigns, but he gets greeted by the Usos. Jimmy is acting like a homie, but Jay is not so sure about that. Sami wants to meet Roman Reigns, but the Usos told him that Roman Reigns is busy, so later. Which we all know is not gonna happen. It's kinda crazy how the leader of the Bloodline, Sami Zayn, needs to ask for approval. And then we see Shinsuke Nakamura. Pat McAfee is dancing, feels good. And we saw a rematch between Shinsuke Nakamura and Ludwig Kaiser. So again, that was the mistake of this episode of SmackDown. I do get it, we need to finish the storylines, but it seems like I've seen this before and it just didn't feel different. Up until this point, I just didn't feel any difference between this SmackDown and Vince McMahon's SmackDown, so I was kinda confused. So the match was fine, Shinsuke Nakamura takes the W, and then we saw a face-off. This match is happening next week for the Intercontinental Championship, and this is the first thing I've noticed. We're getting a great match next week. I mean, it's Gunta versus Shinsuke Nakamura. How could it be bad? It's for the Intercontinental Championship. Mid-card championships mean something again. So that was the first good thing I've seen on this show. Sami wants to meet Roman Reigns again, but he's not allowed. You know, Paul Heyman is someone who always checks whether the pyro is on, and you know, he makes sure that Roman Reigns is going to make a great entrance, so they ask Sami Zayn to check music, pyros, and all of that stuff. I think I know what's going on. Reigns fears Sami. Kayla introduces Liv Morgan to the ring, and she actually got booed. She's been feeling many different emotions. She wants to address the elephant in the room and says this title means everything to her. During this whole sentence, people kept chanting "you tapped out," and she actually responded to the crowd, but it kind of felt like she was too emotional and wasn't prepared. I'm not sure, but the WWE Universe is kind of turning on Liv Morgan, which is kinda weird to me. Sonya Deville comes out and says that Liv Morgan shouldn't be the champion. What happened at SummerSlam is a proof of how bad Adam Pearce is at his job, and she can't wait to win the gauntlet match. So she faced Aaliyah first. No, that one was actually predictable. Aaliyah obviously lost. Then it was time for Raquel Rodriguez, and she was actually kinda the MVP of this match. So she pinned Sonya Deville. Then we see Shotzi quickly take care of Shotzi. Then we see Xia Li, and Xia Li lost as well. So Raquel Rodriguez is on a roll. Then we see Natalya, and thank God she didn't win. We've seen this before. We're tired of it. We're done. We're okay with Natalya not being in a championship match ever again. So Raquel Rodriguez pins Natalya, and then we see Shayna Baszler with a horrendous theme song. Triple H, puppy, please bring back her old theme song. It was so damn good. Anyway, we see the match, and unexpectedly, Shayna Baszler actually picked the W, one of the NXT gals. And we're getting a SmackDown Women's Championship at Clash at the Castle. Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler. This was a great idea, you know, just to showcase all the women that SmackDown has. What I've noticed during this match is that so many of these characters feel so bland. You know, so it will take a lot of time to kind of just give these women a character. Sami Zayn wants to meet Roman Reigns again, but Jay flips. We leveled up. We all have championships. And if you don't start pulling your weight, you'll be pulling your bloodline shirt off real soon. Sami needs a belt. Then we saw the Viking Raiders beating a couple of jobbers, which is... we know who the Viking Raiders are. This feels unnecessary to me. Obviously they won. We saw Kofi Kingston with a kendo stick, which was actually pretty entertaining. And this turned into Kofi Kingston versus Eric. This is one of the least interesting rivalries to me. Kofi Kingston won with a roll-up, and then it was announced that WWE Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament begins on Raw. So we heard rumors about Sasha Banks and Naomi returning, so that's gonna be pretty interesting. I guess I do have a theory. We have new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and then we see the return of Sasha Banks and Naomi, and then we have this fight of real Championes. Bloodline got new graphics of blood flowing through the boner. They're here to talk with Drew McIntyre. A few things need to be addressed first. He says Brock Lesnar is first up. I respect him. People keep booing, and he says, yeah, I hate him too. I hate him, but I respect him. But I hate him. I hate him for what he did to Paul Heyman at SummerSlam. Drew McIntyre comes out and he says he would be talking after the show goes off air. If you want Drew McIntyre to tear apart Bloodline right now, let me know. And then we hear this mysterious music. We lose color. We see a mysterious woman. And I really love what they did with the bird in the Tyrantron. That was actually pretty sweet. He gets attacked by some random ass dude. Is it no, it can't be. It's Karrion Kross. But Karrion Kross was bald. No, it's Karrion Kross. So he attacks Drew McIntyre, and then Scarlett places the hourglass in front of Roman Reigns in the ring. What a message. Your days as WWE Undisputed Champion are running out. So this was a great moment. Last time seen on Monday Night Raw without Scarlett, kept losing for whatever reason. Terrible attire. He wasn't on Raw to wrestle, he was here to fight. And this looks like a completely different character. Debuting and sending a message to the Undisputed Champion. What a way to debut a superstar. So yes, people, SmackDown is like a shit stain in a toilet that's been here for years. It will take a lot more time to clean that up. You know, Raw was still kinda interesting at some times. The change that we did see looked promising. So thank you for watching this video. The Great One, peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.